What's going on, guys? Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am in the expanded format, bringing you a deck piloted by Alex Wilson at the St. Louis Regionals, and that is a deck centered around Mega Rayquaza-EX, and honestly, I'm super excited because you guys know I love Mega Rayquaza so freaking much. It's one of my favorite cards, it's one of my favorite decks, but before I get into the actual deck, just a reminder that if you guys liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, click that subscribe button, helps us out quite a bit and lets us do more cool stuff for you guys. And as for the question of the day, this has to be like my 4th or 5th iteration of Mega Rayquaza, like all these different tech cards that I've run. Like I've run just straight up with like Dodrio, Giving for Your Treat. I've run Zoroark, I've run Jolteon. Now this is going to be a Keldeo version, and then there's another version that Alex Wilson posted like in one of his so what he did is he ran this version of the deck at the regionals, but then he made a post, I think it was on 60 cards, I'm not sure, but either way he made a post. If I can find it, I'll link it in the description, but it was talking about what he actually would have run, and he ran a Magearna build with Steel Energy. But either way, one thing, while it is always around Mega Rayquaza, one thing that changes are the tech cards that are in the deck, or the tech Pokemon that are in the deck. And I'm going to say Pokemon just because it's very specific in that regard. I'm just going to say the tech Pokemon. As you can see in this build, we are running the promo Giratina with the Devour Light ability. Each Pokemon break has no abilities. This really helps against like Greninja break matchups, Trevenant break matchups, really just shuts off all of those abilities that would be super annoying. But in the other version, Alex Wilson said he wanted to run in the St. Louis Regionals, or hindsight 2020, he would have been a Magearna build with Metal Energy, so that you can avoid like the Exeggcute Wobbuffet decks. And then other decks that I ran were a Zoroark build, there's a Jolteon build. And my question is, actually, this is not necessarily just like a discussion point, it's really a, I'm genuinely curious. For those of you that run Mega Rayquaza decks, what tech Pokemon do you run? I mean, obviously, there's Giratina, there's Magearna, there is Jolteon, there's Zoroark. I ran Dodrio way back. I ran Altaria that gets rid of weakness way back as well. But what type of tech Pokemon do you run in Mega Rayquaza? I'm legitimately curious to see what all variations of Mega Rayquaza you guys have built. So please let me know what type of tech cards or what type of tech Pokemon you have put into Mega Rayquaza and how they worked out for you. But anyway, like I said, this was a deck that Alex Wilson built. This was the version that he brought to the St. Louis Regionals. I will also be showing off the version that he wishes he would have brought, but that will be after I go through this one. Centered around Mega Rayquaza, 220 HP with the Delta Evolution trait, and that is what makes this deck so freaking good. You may play this Pokemon basically you can evolve the turn you play down a Rayquaza. That makes it so ridiculously powerful. If you go first and you're not able to attack, you don't even necessarily need a Spirit Link in order, well, you don't need a Spirit Link because it won't hurt you because you can't attack anyway, so you're like, whatever, might as well just evolve and end my turn. And then Emerald Break with the combination of Sky Field as well as Hoopa, Shaymin, all those guys, you can hit for 240 damage turn 1 relatively easily and consistently, which is what makes this thing so ridiculously powerful. Yes, I know that Parallel City is considered a one-card counter to this deck. However, with the recursion that we have at our fingertips, like Karen, Dragonite, all the, those in particular, we're able to put the Pokemon back into our deck and then recycle them with Hoopa and Shaymin and get them all back out. So it's actually surprising how often I play against Parallel City. They are able to get me down to 3 on the bench, and then I'm able to just build up a full bench immediately next turn with another Sky Field. So I'm just going to go through the Pokemon one by one, but really the whole idea is to just power up Emerald Break, hit for a ton of damage, and then be able to consistently do that. Running one Dragonite with the pull-up ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your discard pile for 2 basic Pokemon and put them into your hand. What you do with Dragonite, play it down, grab like Hoopa and Shaymin, play your Karen, put back all of your Pokemon into your deck, play Hoopa, and then just Shaymin, and then just draw more and more cards, be able to consistently just, alright, well, you put me down to 3, Sky Field's in play, and now I'm going to fill up my bench again. So Dragonite's one of the methods of recursion that we have. We have a 3-3 of Rayquaza and Mega Rayquaza, running 2 of the normal Rayquazas because intensifying burn. Worst case scenario, slap a single energy, you can do 60. Dragon Pulse can do 100, but you never really want to use those. And then the Dragon type Rayquaza-EX, really just weakness. If you're against a Lightning Pokemon in particular, it can knock out Rayquaza in one. You can knock out normal Rayquaza in one hit. However, it can not knock out Dragon Rayquaza. I mean, you're going to be evolving these guys rapidly anyway. It's just a method of being like, oh, just in case. I mean, there's no real downside to running Dragon Rayquaza. I mean, even they have the same retreat cost. So it's just a matter of covering weakness. 3 Mega Rayquaza to be able to evolve those guys. Only 3, because if your opponent knocks out 3 Mega Rayquaza, they win the game. Plain and simple, so we don't need to necessarily worry about having a 4th. 4 Shaymin, absolute max number to be able to have those guys whenever possible. And in this deck, Shaymining for 1 or 2 cards is not a bad thing. In fact, it's actually incredibly beneficial because it's a Pokemon on your bench that powers up Emerald Break, and also that 1 or 2 cards could be the pieces you need to be able to just blow through your hand and just power up your bench and fill up your bench and just have a ridiculously explosive first turn. Of the decks I've played, this is easily the most explosive turn 1 deck I've ever played. We also have 1 Exeggcute because, I mean, while we have cards that go into the discard pile, there's enough resources in this deck that we don't necessarily want to have to discard 2 cards every single time we play Computer Search or Ultra Ball. Exeggute's a quick way of just conserving resources, and also because we're already running Battle Compressor, it's like, well, let's just throw Exeggcute in the discard pile, be able to, like, grab that thing back into our hand if we need. And also, it's an emergency last Pokemon onto the bench. Like, if you have 7, you have no other ways of drawing into more Pokemon, you need that 30 extra damage, and Exeggute's in your discard pile, you can just be like, well, I don't want to do it, but you know what, let's bring Exeggcute up there and just slap it right down on the bench. We are running 1 Jirachi for turn 1. For super strong turn 1 plays, you can Hoopa for like a Rayquaza, a Jirachi, and a Shaymin. Jirachi gets you the supporter that you want, so if you go second, you can get like a Colress or something like that, or turn 1, you can grab a Ghetsis or Hex Maniac to disrupt your opponent. Jirachi just is able to get whatever supporter you want, and in this deck, that is very, very strong turn 1. Giratina is the tech Pokemon of choice in this deck to shut down Trevenant Break and Greninja Break, but mainly Trevenant Break. Just keep it from being able to item lock us. 2 Hoopa. Want to run 2 Hoopa. We want a big number of Hoopa so that we are able to bring up our EXs and play down multiple Hoopas. Just have a super explosive first turns. And then 1 Keldeo for rush in and retreat. Just a ridiculously strong ability in this deck. As for the items, 2 Battle Compressor to not only power up Mega Turbo, just activate that, but also activate VS Seeker, throw Exeggcute in the discard pile. Throw cards you wouldn't necessarily want to draw into the discard pile, but the main combination is Battle Compressor plus Mega Turbo, so that we are able to attach a DCE manually to Mega Rayquaza, and then Mega Turbo to be able to Emerald Break. For Trainer's Mail, just look at the top 4 cards, get a certain trainer that we want, help you with the more explosive turns. For Ultra Ball, guaranteed get us what we want when we want, and in this deck, a single Ultra Ball turns into 4 bench spots a ridiculous amount of the time. For VS Seeker, let us reuse all of our supporters, and this is especially useful in this deck because we have so many just one-ofs. For Sky Field, need to run the absolute max number of these because this deck is 100% reliant on Sky Field being in play, and most decks only run like 2 or 3 copies of Stadiums, so we will win the Stadium War with our 4 Sky Field. And then as for the supporters, running really, really, really cool lines. The only by definition straight up just draw supporters, we have our Colress and N. Those are the only things that their entire purpose is to just draw you cards. N is kind of a, well, don't have full bench, I just need draw. Whatever, we'll just N, reset everything, go back into my deck. And even though you shuffle draw, this deck is explosive enough that even if you have to use your supporter turn 1, like immediately on turn 1 as an N, you can still fill up your bench and just explode from there. Colress is, well, We have a bench full of 8. My opponent has 2 on the bench. Let's just Colress for 10. Get a ridiculous amount of cards. Ghetsis technically is a draw supporter, but this is more for disrupting our opponent's turn 1, just taking the items from their hand, throwing them back into the deck, and then drawing cards off of that. That can single-handedly almost win you matches if you are able to put back the right amount of... Well, if you're able to put back the right cards and your opponent didn't have a supporter in their hand or something like that, like if they were relying on items in order to draw cards. Another super disruptive supporter that works amazingly is Hex Maniac. It's for those like item lock Vileplume decks, Feather Arrow, those in particular, but also it shuts down the very rare Night March. What I love and why this deck is actually good now is because Night March is pretty much dead. I rarely run into it on the ladder anymore, and so this deck is actually able to flourish. Hex Maniac shuts down the majority of decks anyway, but it's just a lot better in this deck because your draw power generally comes from Shaymin anyway, so you are able to use your supporter for the turn on something like Hex Maniac or Karen or something like that. Running 1 AZ to pick up a Hoopa, like we have to start with it, pick up a Dragonite, just like, okay, I still need better stuff from you. I need to reuse you to be able to draw cards or get Pokemon out. So I'm just going to pick you up, play you right back down. Karen to help counter Parallel City. Just if our opponent plays Parallel City, makes us discard 5. We're able to put those things back into our deck and then reuse them potentially with a combination of Hoopa, Dragonite, and Shaymin. And then 2 Lysandre because Lysandre is freaking amazing. As for the tools, 2 Float Stone. Obviously Kelstone combination, but also throw it on to like Dragonite or Hoopa or Giratina if we're unfortunate enough to start with them. 3 Rayquaza Spirit Links for our 3 Mega Rayquaza. 4 DCE. I mean, that's what we attack with. That's what we manually attach. And then 3 Water Energy. The energy of choice in this deck is Water because of Keldeo. However, the type of energy you run very much depends upon what type of tech Pokemon you're using. We're never going to be attacking with Giratina, so we don't need to bother with Psychic. We will more often be attacking with Keldeo than Giratina, so Water was the basic energy of choice. If you choose like Jolteon in place of Giratina, you run Lightning, but this other version that I'm going to go ahead and show you is a Magearna version. Magearna is for the Exeggcute Wobbuffet matchup. If you have a Metal Energy on your Mega Rayquaza, then Deck and Cover does not poison or paralyze it. You just get hit for 50, and it turns into an auto win, and as you can see, we are running Metal Energy in this deck. So really, in this version, I just switched out Giratina for Magearna and Water for Metal. So I'm going to get matches with both versions of this deck, but I'm going to start with the Giratina version, so hopefully we run into like Trevenant decks with Giratina and then Exeggcute with Magearna. So yeah, done rambling. Let's go ahead and see this deck in action. Alright, we found one against Pokeflix with a Psychic deck. And we do have the advantage. I mean, why wouldn't we? We are playing the most broken Mon in the history of Pokemon to where it had to be banned from Ubers, which was previously just considered a ban list. I mean, Mega Rayquaza is so strong that it legitimized the Ubers tier. That should say enough right there. So we do start off with actually a pretty solid hand. I mean, I start with a Keldeo and a Rayquaza. I mean, and an Ultra Ball. So I mean, that's pretty much exactly what you could want right there. My opponent is playing Zubat, so I'm really not quite sure what my opponent is running. We do see the Deoxys as well. So a Zubat Deoxys deck. That's interesting. I honestly have no idea what my opponent's running. Because, I mean, because usually if you see Deoxys, that means it's like a TDK variant. But if you see Zubat, that means it's like a Seismitoad Bats type of deck. So we do see the Hypnotoxic Laser and the Verbank City Gym come down. I would rather see Verbank than, say, like a Silent Lab or something, because actually a Silent Lab would just destroy me, and Silent Lab completely destroys this deck. But, wait, what? This is a Plasma Crobat deck? What the heck? That's awesome! Okay, sorry. I can even just Ultra Ball, get rid of the Ghetsis and the Lysandre to grab a Hoopa, and from here, the floodgates should open pretty substantially. Let's play DCE onto my Rayquaza, play the Hoopa down, probably grab, Let's grab Shaymin, Rayquaza, and Jirachi just because I want to make sure that I can get a supporter. And at the very worst, I can grab a Colress and Colress for 8 if I'm not able to get a Sky Field or anything like that. So let's play the Rayquaza down. Shaymin for 3 more cards. I mean, I know that there's more powerful Shaymins, but in this deck, you don't really mind Shaymining for like 1 or 2 cards. Sky Field, can we see the money? No, we don't. Get the Mega Turbo. That's not what I want to see right now. So what I think I'm going to do... Let's just grab the Mega Turbo because why the heck not? And then play the Jirachi down, grab that Colress so we can Colress for 8. That is beautiful. I mean, I would have liked a stronger Colress, like Shaymining and then, well, getting a Sky Field, being able to play the Shaymin, then Colressing for like 30 or something. not 30, I exaggerate. But what I can do right here is Computer Search, get rid of the Hex Maniac and the Water Energy, to grab probably just the Sky Field because I do have the Ultra Ball, which will be able to get rid of some stuff so that I'm able to draw into some more useful cards. So let's Ultra Ball, actually get rid of the other Ultra Ball in the VS Seeker to grab a Shaymin. I just need a Rayquaza Spirit Link at this point. I could have simply Computer Search for the Spirit Link, but I decided that, you know what, I should be able to draw into it, right? Which I do. So it's like the last card I draw, I get rewarded for my rather ballsy play. And then let's go ahead and Mega Turbo right onto the Mega Rayquaza, knock out this Zubat with huge overkill, an Emerald Break for 180 damage, and let's see what we get off the prizes. It's an AZ, so I can just AZ up the Shaymin to play that right back down next turn and go from there. So in a very, very nice position right now. My opponent does Rare Candy into a Crobat, so he will be able to Ultra Toxic Fang. Let's see, Night Sight. Let's draw a card, and Ultra Toxic Fang does... Wow, that does quite a bit of damage. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, combine that with Verbank, and you're doing like 6 damage counters. That's like my Legacy Crobat deck that I think is so cool. My opponent Lysandre's in the Shaymin. Can he knock me out? I don't think... He needs a DCE and a Laser. Or a DCE and a Verbank to be able to knock me out. My opponent does Computer Search, wondering what he grabbed. It was probably the missing piece or one of them. He grabs the Verbank, so I'm going to have to get rid of the Hoopa. Luckily, I do have the AZ. Actually, you know what? Hindsight 2020. I should have just gotten rid of the Jirachi, then I could AZ up the Hoopa to grab another Shaymin. But my opponent does knock out my Shaymin with a combination of Ultra Toxic Fang and the poison from Verbank plus the Fang. So that was very, very, very cool combination by my opponent. But unfortunately, what I can do immediately counter his Stadium with Skyfield, play the DCE onto my Rayquaza, and then AZ up my Shaymin. What? Even that was fire! Every single deck I've been doing recently has had energy turn into fire at some point. That's so, like, kind of awesome. Because, I mean, okay, I'm a little bit partial to fire, and I know my buddy Bacon is too. I know he wants to go by Flint, but nope, he's always Bacon. So, yeah, that was a very quick first match. Showed you exactly how explosive this deck can be. But unfortunately, way too short, so let's go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Gwynho Link. Gwynho Link, maybe? I don't even know. That's possibly what it could be, but it possibly could not be. With a Psychic and normal deck, so I mean, this looks like a Mega Mewtwo and Garbodor deck, which could be, I mean, it also could be like an Espeon type of deck, or there's so many different types that it could be right now. We do lose the coin flip, so unfortunately, it looks like we will go second, but this deck actually doesn't mind going second, because we are able to hit for absurd amounts of damage on our first turn when you combine Mega Turbo with DCEs and the explosiveness from Hoopa, and I actually get... Oh boy, this is going to be a very, very, very exciting start. I mean, as long as my opponent doesn't get rid of my hand, because I mean, I have the 2 Rayquazas, I have the Hoopa, I have the Battle Compressor to immediately get an energy in the discard pile, the DCE of the Trainers Mail, to potentially get a Sky Field or some way of getting a Sky Field, and my opponent attaches and passes. Oh boy, this is going to be fun, guys. So let's go ahead and Battle Compressor, get rid of Get rid of the Hex Maniac, a Water Energy, and then probably just the Ghetsis. Because, I mean, I can just Jirachi for the Colress later if I need it to play the DCE onto my Rayquaza. Go ahead and Hoopa for probably Keldeo, Shaymin, and Jirachi. Yeah, let's go ahead and just grab those guys. I mean, I could have grabbed Keldeo, Shaymin, or some combination, but okay, Sky Field. Yes, there it is. Okay, do I want Sky Field or Spirit Link? We want Sky Field. I don't know, though. Yes, Sky Field. Sky Field. I need Sky Field. I need that thing right now. Let's go ahead and do that. Play Shaymin. See if I can get another set of cards that would allow me to draw even further. And I get another Ultra Ball. So this is the type of explosive turn that I am looking for. Let's get the Hoopa. Let's grab... what should we grab with the Hoopa? I know we're going to grab another Shaymin. At least one for sure. Because I want to donk this. I really want to donk this Espeon. So what I am going to do is go ahead and grab the Shaymin Rayquaza and Mega Rayquaza with my Hoopa. Worst case scenario, I just... let's see if I can get a Spirit Link off of this. Because if I do, I win. Worst case scenario, I just Jirachi for a Colress and I don't get it. I don't want to end my turn. Like, I want to go for this. So I'm just going to go ahead and Jirachi, grab that Colress, draw 8 cards, and hopefully there's a way of... Hopefully I get a Mega Rayquaza, Mega Turbo, and a Spirit Link, which, to be fair, is not that outlandish. And boom, there it is. Okay, we win, guys. That's awesome. So let's just go ahead and evolve up that Mega Rayquaza, play the Spirit Link just because. Mega Turbo onto my Mega Rayquaza, and boom, we are hitting for 240 damage turn 1. Knock out my opponent's lone Espeon EX. He probably thought he was safe with that EX on turn 1, but he is not. Nothing is safe from Mega Rayquaza. Even Decidueye is going to go down in one hit to Mega Rayquaza. That's how powerful it is. And I know that that was another short match, but that was so awesome being able to just knock out an EX in one hit on the second turn. That's exactly what this deck does and why this deck is so beautiful. But yeah, that was a match. Too short. Let's go ahead and try to find another one, see if we can get a pretty substantial one. Okay, we have found another one against Chunky Stew. Chunky Stew. There we go. Okay, that's what it was. I was trying to think of how to pronounce that with, looks like a Vespiquen Unknown deck. Boy. Or a Vespiquen Vileplume deck with Unknown. Ooh. This is an excellent turn. Wow. This is awesome. So what I am going to do, I mean, I'm just going to start with the Rayquaza because Shaymin and Jirachi both like to be played down. And then play the DCE. Go ahead and play the Battle Compressor. Get rid of... What do I want to get rid of? So the Execcute's prized. Let's first get rid of 2 of the Water Energy so I don't draw into those. And then Hex Maniac, actually. Because against Vespiquen Vileplume, they do rely quite a bit on abilities. So if I can shut that down turn 1, if I can get an explosive enough start with the rest of my deck, then I should be in a decent enough position to where I can go from there. So, unfortunately, I don't get anything off the Shaymin, so I am just going to go for a Ghetsis. Because, I mean, if I can get an Ultra Ball, I'm just going to explode at this point, because all I need to get is that Hoopa. Let's Ghetsis, see if I can get something good. Get rid of the Computer Search and the Float Stone. So, I mean, I don't get a lot of cards, but I get some good cards. I get rid of some good cards from my opponent, particularly that Computer Search. Especially because he starts with a Shiinotic. And at this point, you know what? I'm just going to play Rayquaza down and then Mega Evolve. End my turn. I couldn't attack anyway. So I might as well be able to Emerald Break next turn. My opponent doesn't have much of anything at all. I mean, because we saw the... okay, he gets rid of the... Plays his AZ onto the Shiinotic. He's going to be able to actually... Ooh, he might be able to put me to sleep. That's weird. That didn't say yawn. But I do wake up immediately. I'm going to be able to knock out the Shelmet. Let's play the other DCE onto the Mega Rayquaza. I could Ghetsis again, but I think at this point the best play is just to Hex Maniac. I mean, I'm going to be taking a knockout on the Shelmet anyway. I might as well just make sure my opponent can't play down any Shaymins or Jirachis or anything like that. Make him have to have a supporter in order to get out of this. I do draw into an Exeggcute. That's actually not a bad thing because that would allow me to knock out a Shiinotic if he had it, but he doesn't. So we're just going to be able to knock out our opponent's remaining Pokemon with an Emerald Break. So that match was super, super short, but you saw how disruptive these supporters in this deck can be. The combination of Ghetsis and Hex Maniac can really just shut down a potential Decidueye Vileplume deck, which otherwise would have given us some problems. So yeah, again, way too short, but I gotta show off the supporter, so I'm counting it as a match. Alrighty, we found a fourth match. Let's hope it's better than the other two against a Fire, Psychic, and Normal deck, so I'm actually kind of interested with to see what my opponent is running. I mean, clearly, it must be mainly Fire, because why would you run the Fire coin? Although it could be like me, and the coin is a secondary type. But I mean, it looks like it's a Fire deck with Psychic as a backup typing in. That's a bad start. That's a very bad start. We just start with a Shaymin, no draw supporter, no nothing. Oh boy. Well, I mean, we have ways out of it. Kind of, sort of, not really, ish. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll get something. Maybe the Trainers Mail will get us something. Because, yeah, no additional basics, so this is going to be... Okay, so I get a Battle Compressor. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the Exeggcute, get rid of a Hex Maniac, and I want to get rid of an Energy. So, yeah, let's get rid of the... Metal Energy and the Colress. Oh, by the way, guys, I switched decks. I switched to the Magearna version of this deck that I showed in the beginning. But yeah, I just forgot to tell you guys that I was going to switch over, but I obviously am. Let's Battle Compressor again. Get rid of AZ, Hex Maniac, and N. Just because, I mean, Colress would net me one card, and I kind of want more than that. I obviously can't AZ, because then that would make me lose the game, and we definitely don't want that now, do we? Okay, this is better. This is workable. So I get Keldeo, Rayquaza, Shaymin, and a Sky Field. So let's go ahead and play the Rayquaza and the Keldeo down, play the Sky Field. Hopefully I can draw into a Hoopa, or an Ultra Ball, or some way to get something going. That's... Ultra Ball, Ultra Ball, Ultra Ball. I don't get anything. Yay. So I just grabbed the Float Stone. Let's just play that onto the Keldeo, and end my turn. Alrighty. So not a very explosive turn. I mean, that's the problem with this deck. It is susceptible to somewhat clunky starts in different situations. Well, yeah, particularly situations where you don't draw an Ultra Ball, and you have a bunch of cards that combo, but you don't have the pieces out on the board yet. Like, if I had a Mega Rayquaza, then those Mega Turbos would actually be useful. But unfortunately, I don't have a Mega Rayquaza yet. On the bright side, my opponent, while he will be able to Melting Horn this turn, which is a little bit annoying, I will have to... Well, I will be able to, at the very least, survive the turn, because I'm not worried about a knockout at all. I mean, yeah, Shaymin might get damaged with, like, a Burbank City Gym or something like that. But overall, I'm not too particularly worried. Hex Maniac will have to be my friend, just because he does obviously play Pyroar, and Pyroar could be a big problem for this deck. He does get rid of the Ultra Ball. Wow, the Ultra Ball was the top deck. I would have really liked to see that a little bit earlier. I do top deck the Mega Rayquaza, which is kind of nice. And then I'm going to go ahead and N again. Just, I mean, get 6 cards, I think. Colress would just give me 5, but... Let's just go ahead and N so I am able to, so that I am able to just get more cards and maybe go off at this point. Like, if I can just get 3 more Pokemon into play, I'll be able to do something. And there we go. That works. So let's go ahead and Hoopa to grab a Rayquaza, Mega Rayquaza, and probably another Shaymin. Let's grab that Rayquaza. Actually, no, full art all the way. Let's grab the full art Rayquaza, full art Mega Rayquaza, and the Shaymin to be able to play those guys down with a Spirit Link onto the Rayquaza, play the Mega Rayquaza, play the Shaymin, get a couple more cards. Oh, actually, no. Not yet. I'm going to Exeggcute first so that I can Ultra Ball, get rid of the Jirachi and the Exeggcute. Maybe. Potentially. There we go. To grab... What do I want to grab? Let's just grab the other Rayquaza. I mean, in case I'm somehow able to get another Mega Rayquaza down this turn. Play that Shaymin for 4 cards. See if I can get that DCE, which I don't just get 1, I get 3. So, I mean, there's... Wow. I guess the game was like, you know what? You've had enough problems with getting energy, so we're just going to give you all 3 DCE, which, I mean, I don't mind. I'm okay with this. And I will be able to knock out this Houndoom next turn if my opponent evolves into Pyroar. I have a VS Seeker that I will be able to Hex Maniac, that I will be able to grab a Hex Maniac with, which will allow me to knock out the Pyroar and then not be worried about that. So yeah, let's just grab a couple prizes, see what we get. We get another Hoopa and a Mega Turbo. And yeah, my opponent just forfeits. Apparently, they saw that happen. They're like, there's no way I can compete with this. And they just scooped. I mean, Pyroar... Actually, you know what? Pyroar wouldn't even have worked. I forgot Rayquaza's an evolved Pokemon. So yeah, Pyroar would not have worked. Sorry, I'm so used to playing with my fully basic Turbo Dark deck and expanded to where Pyroar is a problem. But it's not for this deck. Carbink and Safeguard Pokemon are the problem. So yeah, Pyroar wouldn't even have mattered. Now I see why my opponent conceded even that much more. But yeah, you know what? We got time. Let's go ahead and get one more. Alright, regardless of how this match goes, this is going to be the last one we get. And oh boy, this better not be a Trevenant Break deck. Of course, as I switch over to Magearna, we play against a Trevenant Break, where the Giratina would have been super, super useful, and my opponent even gets to go first, so that is bad. On the bright side, I do start off with a very nice hand. So, I mean, if my opponent's not able to get that turn 1 Wally into a Trevenant, I'm going to have a very explosive first turn. And, like I was saying, this is going to be the last match, no matter how quick it is, just because of, I mean, I've already gotten 5 matches. Mega Rayquaza apparently is just way too powerful for some decks to deal with. And luckily, this is not a Trevenant. This is a Solgaleo deck. Those are much more fun to play against, to say the least. My opponent actually just starts with Cosmog and Sycamores. Jeez, he must not have had anything at all. Has to get rid of a Solgaleo, which is very nice for me. Plays down a Bronzor. Trainers Mails. Maybe gets something. I mean, let's see, is my opponent gonna... I mean, the thing is, does my opponent play Skyfield? Because if he plays Skyfield, then, I mean, I'm just in a better position. Because my advantage from Skyfield is a lot better than his. Solgaleo actually is able to one-shot a Mega Rayquaza. But you know what? As long as I chain Hex Maniacs, that shouldn't be a problem. Let's go ahead and play the Skyfield. Play down the Hoopa to grab a Keldeo, a Rayquaza, and... You know what? Let's just grab another Rayquaza. I mean, I have a... Actually, do I want to grab another Rayquaza? Yeah, let's go ahead and grab another Rayquaza. Let's just grab those 3. I already have a couple Shaymin in my hand to use anyway. So let's go ahead and play that down. Play this down. Play that as well. Trainers Mail, see if I can get anything particularly useful. Let's grab the Float Stone that I can put onto my Keldeo. And then let's Shaymin for 3 cards, see if I can get Spirit Link, something else I can work with. I get a Jirachi. Oh, there's a Spirit Link. So that works really well. Let's Ultra Ball, get rid of the Jirachi and one of the Skyfields. I could have gotten rid of both Skyfields, but you know what, at this point, let's just grab my other Hoopa to grab a Mega Rayquaza. And you know what, let's probably grab a Mega Rayquaza and another Shaymin. I mean, I have 2 bench spots left. Why not just fill them up with Shaymin? I can evolve the Mega Rayquaza immediately. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like this Cosmog is going to be particularly long for this world, because I will be able to Shaymin for 4 cards, hopefully some way of getting... Well, there we go. I'm going to be powered up turn 1. Unfortunately, I draw into my Exeggcute right as I get the Battle Compressor, which is not what I want. But either way, I will be able to go ahead and get Double Battle, get rid of both, or 2 of the Metal Energies into the discard pile, play that onto my Rayquaza, and then Shaymin for 4 more cards, see if I can get something to where... Okay, this works. Let's Ultra Ball, get rid of the Lysandre and the Exeggcute, just because I wanted to get the Exeggcute in my discard pile. Grab a Mega Rayquaza in case somehow I top deck into a VS Seeker. But now let's go ahead and Battle Compressor, get rid of... Or an AZ and a Karen. Just because, I mean, I don't really need those. Those shouldn't be too particularly important in this match. And then let's go ahead and... Actually, you know what? My opponent doesn't have enough going right now. I'm just going to go ahead and Shaymin, see if I can get some more cards. I mean, I could have Hex Maniac'd, but I mean, I'm going to knock out my opponent's Cosmog. He has no way of being able to get a Solgaleo next turn, in which case I can just Lysandre that thing out and knock it out. And yeah, I mean, I'm very, very, very good start for me. I will be able to start powering up a Rayquaza in the background. I won't Mega Evolve just because that will end my turn. So I'm going to wait until I get a Spirit Link to get another Rayquaza in and going. But my opponent looks like he's going to be able to start getting things going this turn. Probably should have just Hex... Actually, you know what? No, he has a... Wait. Oh, he has a VS Seeker from last turn. That's right. He got the Trainers Mail for it. So he will be able to get a Bronzong and a Cosmog down. Oh, boy. So, I mean, I'm going to need to start taking out those Cosmog immediately just because the Solgaleos are scary. There's one Solgaleo in the discard pile. There's a couple rare candy. So what's my opponent going to do? Is he going to try to get up multiple Cosmog? Yeah, that's smart. That way I cannot target them down. And, okay, if my opponent attaches Metal Links to it and then is able to get into a... and then rare candies into a Solgaleo next turn, he will be able to knock me out. But I will... oh, even Metal Float Stones up his Bronzong. So, I mean, I need to be very careful about how I play this. I can't just go recklessly. I think my play is to just Hex Maniac like crazy. Keep my opponent from being able to use Ultra Road, Metal Links, all of those abilities. Like, Hex Maniac is going to be my path to victory in this matchup. With occasional Lysandre if my opponent is able to get a Solgaleo down. And what's going to be a big problem? I'm not even going to be able to one-shot a Solgaleo with Mega Rayquaza. Actually, never mind. It's not going to be a problem because my opponent just forfeits. So, I mean, Solgaleo would have been a problem. I have actually run into problems facing against Solgaleo with this deck because my opponent was able to get set up and I wasn't able to chain Hex Maniacs like I wanted to. But either way, we are able to take that match very convincingly. I mean, my opponent wasn't able to get anything going. I was interested to see how that match would have played out if he had gotten something developed too. But either way, I mean, I take the win. We take the points. And thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.